Hello, 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 hello. We are live on the SideQuest, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games. I am one of your luxurious hosts, Dolly Domovsky. I don't know why I said luxurious. I just said it for no reason whatsoever. Joining me was Taylor, but now he's back. I don't know what he did.
I clicked that back button in my browser.
Yep, I'm gonna switch you up there, and then yes, hey everybody, point to Taylor. Hi, Taylor.
Hey,
And then over here, the one, the only Sam Dixon.
Hello, I've returned for my many months away from the war. At the
Sam
war.
Dixon returned.
Whenever you see at the end of my Marvel movies, it says Sam Dixon's tired.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
And we believe him.
We believe him. And JJ will be joining us. He's stuck in traffic right now. We should get the live call in from traffic and just see how
is the traffic.
Okay, let's see here. How you guys doing? Everybody doing okay? As usual, Taylor is out there playing games as he should be. A very popular game. We'll get to that in a little bit. How you doing, Sam?
Good. You know, working in athletics. This is maybe one of the most busiest, stressful time for D1 athletics. So,
which is why you're leaving right in the middle of it to go to PAX, baby.
Yeah. Well, no, it actually.
Are they playing sports right now?
If you want to hear the funny thing, so we actually played a home game tonight. Mm-hmm. We are hosting a weekend-long event starting tomorrow until Sunday. And then the week after, we are hosting a weekend-long event starting Wednesday until Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Those are the very special events. Yeah, it is. Whatever you're doing, I don't know what it is, man, but it just sounds like madness in March. It's really crazy.
Mm-hmm. And some other stuff. But yeah, PAX is like my hey, you survived. Now you get like a 3-day vacation where you also have to work.
Right. Yeah. Like PAX is actually work, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, at my other job, I don't also get to party and drink at the end of the evening.
We do need to still figure out some things too with our PAX stuff. Like we've been talking about doing a live stream, like grabbing a bunch of indie friends and just grabbing a spot and just doing like this rotation of
surely we can still make it work.
Oh yeah, give it like we'll figure it out that day and make it work. So might just do it in the conference center. Which is
we just can't do it in the lounge like we tried to last year because we get kicked out within like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was pretty funny. The upstairs lounge at the hotel, but it's gonna be fun. PAX is 2 weeks away from today. Holy!
I turned to my wife and I was like, I go to Boston 2 weeks, huh? And she just kind of gave me the blank stare.
I keep thinking PAX is like arm's length. It's like I got 3 weeks, but it's been like 3 or 4 weeks for like the last like 2 months, and now I'm like, no, I got 2 weeks from today. I'm gonna be there in 2 weeks from today. We're gonna be all hugging it up, and we'll be at a bar or sleep or watching Taylor watch Mario speedrunning videos.
That'd be great. That'll be ideal. I do not think he's going to be playing Mario this time around.
Yeah. But good times. Well, it is before we get to PAX, there is stuff that we can go over the next couple weeks, and there's plenty of it. We got some games that we're going to talk about later, some review stuff, as well as what Taylor's doing right now, which is always great. But let's get into a little bit of news. There has been some news popping up over the last week. There is one that Taylor and I talked about on, was it Thursday or Friday? I don't even remember what day it was. Maybe it was Friday. And now finally has a finality to it, I guess. And that is the YUZU developer issue. They've settled with Nintendo for $2.4 million. This is the Switch emulator, Tropic Haze. They discontinued support for the emulator. Thank you to gamesindustry.biz. I do find it funny, hand over its site to the Mario Maker, but the Mario Maker is a game that we just talked about. Really weird. No, the YUZU, which was its Snitches Get Stitches, and this was their Stitch right there, because they were like the primes. You only heard about YUZU like in like back alleys of Discord. Like nobody talked about it publicly. And then they opened up a Patreon, make money, giving away.
And I don't think I mentioned this on Friday. Did you know what one of the rewards that you got for being a Patreon supporter was?
No, what was it?
When Tears of the Kingdom leaked on the street, the YUZU developers obviously were keen on making it run as well as possible on the emulator.
Oh boy.
So if you were a Patreon supporter, what you could get was an early access to customized versions of that ROM early.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Of the YUZU, no, so it wasn't customized of the ROM. It was customizer of the YUZU, but like they were tailor making the YUZU emulator and updating it to run Tears of the Kingdom better. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you got access to those builds of the YUZU emulator first.
Wow.
So it was pretty easy for Nintendo to be like, they were making this to run our games, and before that they were available, aka it was impossible for it to be a cartridge backup. So
well, and using like leaked games and stuff in your like promotional tweets and stuff, being like, oh, it runs on this and it's only been out in Japan for like 3 hours. Like, okay. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, will this have ramifications for all emulation going forward? Probably, maybe
not really.
Well, that's the thing, is I think you're going to stop seeing people being so blatant about like
I guess it's the definition of the ramifications there that's in question, right?
Like I don't think not all of a sudden Dolphin's not going to shut down, or like all these SNES emulators.
Dolphin preemptively got shut down. Remember when they tried to put themselves on Steam?
Well, but that was the thing, is Nintendo didn't do anything about that. That was Valve going, we don't want to mess with this.
That's because they let Nintendo know, and then that's when it came out that they were distributing the Wii BIOS. Right. In the emulator directly. Nintendo told Valve that, and Valve said, "Oh, okay, no, you can't do it."
Gotcha.
It was the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It's listen, I'm not against emulation. We've all probably used emulators at some point to play things and whatnot.
Me? No.
No, never.
But I don't have a mister.
Yeah, but it really does feel kind of tasteless when you're like, when you're seeing that like EMU deck for the Steam Deck is installing YUZU by default as one of the emulators, because it's just, how many times on Twitter did you see somebody being like, oh, here's, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet running at 60 frames per second 4K or whatever, and you're like, oh, sick. But like, oh man, it feels, it definitely feels bad, because it feels like, oh, the big company is beating up the little guys here, but at the same time, like, these little guys weren't being so little about it, I guess.
The blatant disregard for how big of a pond or how big of the ocean they were jumping into, I think is a little silly. Like, I mean, like, you can say it's in retrospect, but I think it was pretty obvious and right when they were doing it too. I mean, like, yeah, of course emulators have this value that is hard to deny, right? Nintendo, like, we get ever closer to the day where one of the old original pieces of hardware stop working forever, right? And their ability to distribute continues to diminish, and where carts again eventually will fail. And like, it's inevitably, and so there is that inherent value to them. When the system is still in circulation, and you're selling access to preview builds of your emulator so that it works better with street released games. Yeah, I mean, you literally Icarused it.
Yeah,
they made that choice.
Yep.
There's a reason why we don't see a lawsuit for the other one that's out there. Ryu Jinx is still out there, and I mean, I'm sure that they've battened up some hatches, but like, it's not like it stopped. And also this one claims Citra as part of it as well.
Citra, which is the 3DS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I guess that was my question about Citra. Was it the same group that was running Citra? Okay.
They were either running it or heavily developing it.
Bunny is the developer. And yeah, I don't know how it's all. The YUZU developer is Tropic Haze. Bunny is the developer that kind of develop. It's really weird. It's like there's like Venn diagrams of where
they were specifically Tropic Haze was specifically supporting the development of Citra.
Okay.
So,
because I was going to say, like, it feels like the Citra stuff, like at least from everything I've seen, is probably going to continue, or not under them, but under somebody. But the Switch stuff is,
Yuzu's dead.
Nintendo finds you using Yuzu's code, they're going to be coming after you.
Yeah, Yuzu's. Yeah, eventually the ability to install YUZU, like as easy it has been on Steam Deck, will disappear very shortly. If it hasn't already, I've never checked.
Yep. Well, there's other emulators out there. If you need to emulate something, you're not going to find it from us, but it's just at least you can scratch one off the list. Kind of one of the more prominent ones, I guess, off the list. But we're just like a Hydra. Chop off one head, another one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the code for YUZU was in GitHub. People fork it constantly. There's 800 different variations of YUZU in circulation.
Oh, for sure.
Elsewhere. So,
someone
no
might
Patreons.
say exactly. Someone might say that the way to avoid a lot of these the pitfalls of emulation is to make your game maybe a live service game. And one company wants to do that is Warner Brothers, because they say that, I know we've had these string of really bad live service games like Gotham Knights. I forgot that game existed. Suicide Squad. They've been pretty bad. And the games that have been really good are the single player games like Hogwarts Legacy. So you want to put your money in. And we're going to stick with live service games. Forget the AAA Hogwarts stuff. Let's go with live service stuff. And that's, Warner Brothers, in another beautiful move, CEO of Streaming and Games, JB Perrette, said, we want to make all the games live service because that's where the money's at. I'm paraphrasing, but that's where they're going to be focusing a lot more on the live service stuff because it's going to be where people live and play together and all that, yada, yada.
Yeah, what it really is that they this is just one-time payment versus recurring revenue. Warner Brothers is hurting for consistent cash, as evidenced by how much shit they've continued to sell or close. We'll get to that in a minute. And they want a live service titan on their payroll so that they can look at how much money they take in month to month and feel good about it, or at least the shareholders do. They look at Hogwarts Legacy and it's like, that's great.
Yeah,
but it's done now. We don't make any more money.
Yep.
And it's not enough for them.
They need a Sims-like Hogwarts game. Like that.
Well, they want a Hogwarts Legacy to hit every month.
That's what they want.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with big budget titles like that, that's just impossible.
Yep.
And honestly, I feel like we've just been dealing with the ramifications of Fortnite working out well for Epic for like the last 6 years.
Well, yeah, and it's just weird because I want whoever is whispering into C-Level's ears about you just have to make the hot game that to finally disappear. Everybody that does it stumbles into it. They the guys at Epic they were just fucking around and they made they were making a single player zombie survival game. And then for where it was like, hey, what if this was multiplayer for some godforsaken reason? Yeah. And PUBG was obviously popular at the time, so that's obviously clearly part of the inspiration. But they waltzed into it. It wasn't the monolith that it is now with every tie-in known to man. That just happened to evolve organically.
Well, and we're still falling victim to looter shooters and extraction shooters.
Yeah.
And everybody copying those. Hell, last summer was the summer of Vampire Survivors ripoffs.
Yeah. Some of them pretty good.
Some
Yeah,
is the underlined word though.
Well, yeah.
But like, yeah, it just feels like, you know, like every investment in the last couple of years for live service games has either gone bust or gone bad in some ways. I mean, Destiny was touted as this like prime example of this is a live service game that's successful. And then how many horror stories have come out of Bungie in the last year and a half about like cutting half their staff, like Marathon being a mess, which again is a game chasing extraction shooter
live service.
Yeah, so it's like if your example of live services working out well is a company that bought itself out and then sold itself and then purged most of its employees, like I don't understand how that's a successful like example. Also, hello JJ.
Sure. Hey JJ.
Just having some happy conversations,
talking about the exciting things Warner Brothers has been doing over the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, you want to talk more about Warner Brothers?
Oh,
here's
sure.
Another one.
Yeah.
Rooster Teeth. You guys love Rooster Teeth, Red and blue. Oh, wait a minute. WBD said, you know, we're gonna close down Rooster Teeth. Just shut it down. It's all good. Thanks for playing.
Rooster Teeth had 150 employees. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, man.
Well, they had the thing about Rooster Teeth is they like grew up like so quickly. Had an animation studio, had broadcast studio, had Ruby super successful. They just had anime in Japan. Like they spun up, but then I feel like they might have just fallen victim to that.
That's true. Like
COVID.
What the fuck is going to happen to Ruby? They were still making that.
Yeah. There's Ruby games out there.
Well, supposedly there is the Rooster Teeth stuff that was in Warner Brothers pipeline is still scheduled to be released.
Yeah.
What was the thing that survived? Their podcast network.
Their podcast network.
Yeah.
They're letting them keep that. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
It's a mess. Rooster Teeth was a very cool thing when it first started. I mean, it spawned an expo. It spawned like a bunch of stuff. It was
the machinima shit was just like was like game changing for like online content creation. Like it created a whole.
I have to admit,
it's crazy.
I've never watched a single clip of Red versus Blue. I just know what it is.
See, and maybe that was a me generation thing, but like we would like
that was a big us generation thing.
Yeah, we would download episodes of Red versus Blue, watch them, and then talk about nothing else like the next day. Like
nice,
cool. Like
that's
Red
awesome.
versus Blue was hugely like I think honestly influential in terms of like just how like internet video works. Like they were one of the first game videos that you could download the straight video, like as opposed to downloading like a WAD file from Doom or whatever and playing it back in there. Like this was like an actual like production using video games, and before YouTube was even a thing of publishing and showing them.
Yeah, it like changed like development on Halo.
They gave Rooster Teeth early specific builds in early access. I know to at least Halo 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The earliest days of PAX, if you didn't at least tangentially understand Red versus Blue, those conventions would have been rough. They were a big part of early PAX Wests.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first PAX East I remember going to. I just remember them and like Mega 64 having a huge booth like right next to each other.
Yeah, it's true. WB is it's on a roll right now.
Yeah,
because
can't wait to watch Acme or Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah. Well, they've also shut down something else game related, and that is an indie developer who made small radios, big televisions. WB was his publisher. I said, we're pulling it from sale. It's not going to be in sale anymore. They're like, wait, what?
Dude,
he decided to make his game free.
Speed running.
Yeah,
like brand killing.
How bad?
Because like it's like we're
I like that speed running.
Well, they're past the point. Like I don't know if just people that are high up there think that this is not brand impacting. Like as far as Warner Brothers is concerned, but like especially the incoming teenagers are so fucking jacked into this shit
Yeah.
that they are
Oh,
they know that it's Warner Brothers, and that shit just go like literally just spreads like wildfire every single time that
Yep.
WB does this.
Yep.
And now you're gonna have the point. I mean, and who knows? Maybe this is amplified on from my perspective, and the next shitty WB DC movie is gonna go gangbusters anyway. But I don't know. I fail to see the long-term payoff in this, and maybe it's just a bunch of again high-level people that are like, it does not matter to me because I will get paid, even if I am fired, and then I will continue to live my life. I don't know.
Yeah. Every decision Zaslav and his team make is strictly like, how can the tax benefit me on this?
It's crazy. It's crazy that we have not reached the diminishing returns yet. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh well, don't.
Well, that just shows you how big WB is.
I mean, maybe they're just overinflated.
Don't worry,
totally fair.
They're about to re-release multiverses back into the public. A game they charged for, left out for a month, and then pulled from shelves. You can't even play it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They did do that.
In other news and happier news, if you work for Capcom, instead of laying
a raise
people off or shutting down stuff, you're actually getting a raise. Even the Japanese companies to do this, which is it's actually not uncommon. It just doesn't always get reported. But there is they're increasing all the salaries by somewhere around like 5%. I like the new graduate hires getting 28% raise. That's awesome for folks kind of coming out of schools. That's great. And Capcom had a banger of a year with Monster Hunter and Resident Evil 4 and a bunch of other stuff, and they got more things on the way. I think they're actually doing a little show tomorrow. They're doing their showcase, or is it next week? I don't know. You could check sidequesting.com. We have it listed there. It's good for Capcom in doing such a thing, because it basically allows folks to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief when you get support from a company, as opposed to what like Embracer does, which is do whenever Embracer does. We talked about that last week, but I thought it was kind of a cool little tidbit there. Last quick little bit of news that I have is this one. Sony has, quote unquote, secured the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy as a console exclusive. And there is actually
what's that update?
The update was, so Gene Park over at Wash Post initially said the whole trilogy is the way he wrote it was the trilogy has been secured. There you go, secured as a PlayStation platform exclusive. When in reality, only Remake and Rebirth were and essentially they were secured at the time. To be consoles, which could be later on. It could be a timed thing. It could be whatever.
Or it could be released as a triple pack,
exactly,
which is its own SKU.
Yep. So there's a lot that goes into it. However, I think Sony,
it won't matter, because by the time the third game comes out, the new Xbox is going to be here. So it'll be moot.
So how far do you think? 4 years between this and the next one?
It depends on, at this point, it depends on asset reuse, most likely. So I would guess between 3 and 4.
I'm gonna probably around that.
Because it's so they're so, I mean, they've probably been working, like certain teams have been working on the third game at this point for months.
Sure.
Most likely. Because it's so secured, and COVID has become more and more over that span of time.
Well, even they said in some of the stuff, like recent interviews and stuff, like team retention is very high for these games, and that goes a long way in getting.
You think about team retention from 1 to 2, and now you're going into the third. Like people are only going to get faster. Realistically. So I think I mean, God knows that Sony wants it out in 3, right? I mean,
Yeah, for
they
sure.
would they want to at least get this on PS5, if not cross platform it.
Yeah.
Because like, what are we nearing there? Are we nearing the
I mean,
point
it's
where we need to talk
PS4.
about?
This is the PS5. This is the 4th year of PS5.
Yeah, but like the story is now like the PS5 Pro or whatever. So
Probably this
Right.
year.
who knows
Yeah.
what that stopgap means? Like, so yeah.
I think we're all just banking on quantum computing happening before
Yeah.
the next like console cycle.
The next PlayStation will be using crystals for data storage, and
I still remember that PlayStation commercial where like the PlayStation 9 was a floating
PS9, a
orb.
glass orb. Yeah.
I can't.
But yeah,
It's an
only been-
idea more than a thing.
It's,
yeah,
it's
it's an
only
idea.
it's only been 3.5 years. I swear,
dude.
I swear, it feels like PS5's been out forever, man.
It,
Yeah.
right? It's only been-
It
only-
came out. It came out in the heart of
Right
the
in the
pandemic.
in the heart of COVID.
I mean, they've stopped making games for it.
What, PS5? Yeah, I hate that.
PS5 earlier.
Not making games for every system at this point.
Yeah,
Nobody's
for
making
real.
games anymore.
Well, luckily we're playing games, and we can talk about the games we've been playing. I know I have a review code. Sam and JJ are both reviewing the same game. JJ has a second game that he reviewed too. I don't know if you had a chance to get to that. That I think
Which
it was the Switch code that I sent over to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you had a chance to play that one. And then Taylor's doing what Taylor does. Let's start with Taylor because Sam doesn't know what balatro is.
The game that I've seen so much about, haven't bothered reading anything.
It is
on.
SideQuesting's favorite video game.
And
That's all time,
there's
yeah.
a level of ADD that I'm using to stare at this screen and go, I want it all. Like what's
Yeah.
shop into up there? Improve
Yeah,
my
you
God,
do.
maybe.
You do want it all. I promise. Sorry. So
I want it all.
I would say, as a wise man once sang, "I want it all, and I want it now."
and I want it now. Yeah, if you have ever played a deck building roguelike, like Slay, or if you've ever heard of one or tried to understand one, such as Slay the Spire, or Hell Train, or other popular ones that I'm sure exist, balatro is like that, except it's poker hands. So when the game starts, it operates a lot like poker. I'll probably get there during this explanation if I start playing while I do it, because I'm really deep into a run in my video here. And so basically you have a deck of cards. It has by default 52, although there are some special decks out there. And you do the things that you would expect to do. So you can play pairs, 2 pairs, full house, flush, straight flush, etc. And you get points based on what hands you play. That is determined by these numbers here. Chips times multiplier. Chips is determined by the difficulty of the hand plus the cards that you play. And that's the way that it goes. So there's joker cards. So instead of jokers being wild cards like they typically would be in some, kind of house rules, because it's a video game, joker cards are basically their score modifiers. And I'm playing a deck that's pretty keen on making flushes. And so you can see there's a lot of numbers. Actually, you know what? What I can do is there's a game speed option. Found that out. And I probably be useful to turn that down. That's probably, Sam, when we were talking before the show started, probably part of the reason why you're like, what the fuck is happening? But basically, this is a pretty well-defined joker setup here. At the end of the day, you kind of want to get to something that really multiplies your score. That's just how balatro rolls. And so you can see here, it'll count every card. You get plus the value of the card as plus chips, and then it rolls through and it adds in your multipliers, does some math on your behalf, and you end up with big numbers. I just my banana has a 1 in 4 chance of disappearing. It makes sense. Don't worry. I actually really
I have that problem too. So.
Yeah. It do
Reach
be
on,
like,
brother.
It do be like that. I really want that banana to show back up for reasons that will be explained if it does happen to show back up. I've been playing at
Can you, like, go around the block and come back? I'm very confused.
The card just has a 1 in 4 chance of breaking, and then if it shows up again, it's a better version of what it used to be. Because a little bit
Sick.
of game lore. But I'm operating a little bit behind now for this hand, but I think I'll be okay.
So, just from watching here, it would appear to me that you get 10 cards each round.
So your hand size is malleable. There are certain things that can be done.
Half the cards are facing the wrong way now. Like, what?
Yeah,
hey,
well,
man, sometimes
first hand is drawn face down. That's it. I'm on the big blind. You gotta face the music. You know.
So you're playing to achieve like a certain score, right? 'Cause I'm seeing like score at least like 400,000.
I'm trying to hit 400,000 chips right now.
So if you don't hit 400,000 chips, is it game over?
I lose that round. Oh, that's not good for me.
And the game's over then.
Yeah, you lose your perks and you
start over.
You're playing to achieve a score, not really against someone or something.
Correct. It's not competitive. You're literally just it's run after run, and you're out there just trying to do as best as you can.
Yeah, the blinds are sort of what would be represented as like bosses. Like you get the small blind, the big blind, and the we're about to fuck your shit up blind. so like,
gotcha. And then so you just go like how many like blinds you can take then?
Yeah,
like we finished that 400 one. So now are you going to choose like a different challenge?
So basically, these are your antes, or these are
those are
levels.
Pokemon gym badges. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about on the left here. On the left, this shows you. So basically, there's a maximum of 3 hands per ante, and then as you go to the next one, this is the base chip requirement to clear. And then what you'll see is that if you get one of these as what the modifier for the last hand that you have to beat, it's 2 times the base. So what am I going to ante 10? So if I get one of these as my boss blind, it'll be at least 2 million to clear it.
The Cerulean Gym badge.
The Cerulean Gym badge.
So what about these? Like I see like the standard pack and like the voucher and all that stuff that you can spend. Obviously the cash that you can.
Let's open one up.
Okay, so what do those have? They have both playable cards, and is there a chance that there would be a Joker card in there?
No, Jokers get their own packs.
So there are like
packs.
4 or 5 different types of packs. There's the card packs, the standard packs. You can get new cards. There's the celestial packs, which give you planet cards. The planet cards are the ones that can like update your give you more points for like a pair or like certain types of hands or like a flush or whatever. So you kind of upgrade those. Then you have the buffoon packs or the Joker packs. You get new Jokers from those. You can usually choose like 1 out of 5. Then there's like the greatest, or maybe the celestial one is the great. I can't remember. There's like this crazy one, or I don't know when crazy, but that gives you even more. You can basically modify the cards to make some cards have bonuses or make them gold cards or whatever. So you have those like 4 or 5 different types, and then those are the 2 little packs that you typically get after you beat a blind or after you beat a boss or whatever around. And then you can usually pick and then there's a tarot pack, which give you tarot cards. And the tarot cards are, those are kind of like modifiers that will do stuff like they'll convert, 2 cards or 3 cards into clubs, or they'll switch. They'll make like 1 king into a 9 or vice versa, depending. So they're like kind of game modifiers that way. Yeah.
Do you understand, Sam? Does this game make complete sense to you?
I mean, it's definitely something that, I understand the basics of poker. So like, I understand the idea of hands and stuff. Obviously it's one of those, like once you're sort of into it and you're playing it a little bit,
2 hands. All it'll take is 2 hands to play. You play 2 hands.
Yeah, the very first run through of the big, like small blind, big blind, whatever. I forget what the third blinds are called.
Yep.
But,
boss blind. Or
boss
whatever,
blinds will you will fully understand what this game is asking for you, and the your first visit to the shop will make it very clear what all of these modifiers do and what their uses are for.
Yeah, I think the thing that's not helping, at least from somebody that, that just sees it from the outside and sees like playing cards, but like normal 52 playing cards. So you're like, what's going on? Is it like it's set up kind of like at least for this menu, looks kind of like a, play mat like sort of thing. And you're like, what's going on in comparison? As we see the spectral pack.
Yeah, that's the one. Spectral
incantation and stuff.
Ectoplasm.
This is
Ghostbusters.
This is an incredible card.
Yes, it is.
Incredible card. So Sam, you mentioned about how like why are you drawing 10 cards? And the reason is because I'm pretty deep into this run. Going to ante 10, this is probably like 35 minutes realistically of a play time to get to this point. And so you're in there pretty deep. And I've gotten a couple of things. I have one thing that increases +1 on my hand size. This is actually probably a card that I could theoretically dump for something that gave me more score. I also have there's what I call vouchers that you can find, and I have one for +1 hand size there. And so there's ways to increase it. So basically, I'm going to lose 1 hand size by doing this. But what negative does to a joker is, so you can see right here, I have 6 of 6. So basically, you can have a maximum of 6 jokers. I have 6. If I use this, it no longer takes up that slot. So when you think about how much impact jokers can have, I'm going to go into the negatives real bad.
I mean, you basically add a joker slot, right?
Yeah, it's basically you basically just add a joker slot to your setup, which is incredibly powerful because the jokers are what determine how much you can score at the end of the day. And this boss blind is going to absolutely screw me.
Lose $1 per card play.
Yeah, and you go negative.
Yeah.
By the way, drawing 2 steel cards is incredibly important for me to be able to beat this. Actually, steel cards multiply your red number here by 1.5 before it goes through the jokers, which actually is probably, if I win, is the only reason I make it through this.
So I guess my, hardcore cool guy gamer question is there a
yes,
win
there are
state?
Boobs and blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, is there like a win state? Like, can I get to a point where credits roll?
So your win state would be something I certainly have not gotten close. Would be beating ante 16, which is 1.5 e to the 21st.
Gotcha. I know, I don't know how you guys feel. A lot of times with roguelikes, like I really like playing roguelites, but at some point, unless it's something like a Hades or something that's more developed, you're like, that's cool. I've seen enough. Like, thank you.
I feel like the win state maybe is like beating 8 rounds. Let's just start basic and say you beat 8
that's
rounds.
True.
Because then you can actually unlock some of the other stuff.
You get a little pop up that says, hey, you did it.
You did it. Pat on the back. Everybody does it. Good luck. Good job. Finally doing it.
Good fucking job.
The most common Chivo. No, but
no, I want to buy this.
Because I know it does bother some people that you get these games, and then there's no definitive ending. Like you always feel like you're trapped. There's no release.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like with this one, you basically beating ante 8, which obviously I've already done here, is the point where you have done the thing that will unlock more stuff for you. And then you're like, oh, yay, I get my thanks for my dopamine hit. Let me play again immediately.
what was and so different decks too, which kind of cool. Like you can start different decks. Which
I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose so bad.
One deck can give you 1 extra hand, and then another deck will give you 1 extra discard, and then another deck will give you 1 extra joker slot, but minus 1 hand. So there's the actual decks you play modify are sort of the difficulty modifiers, and not even difficulties like play style. But if you complete a run through 8 of each of these decks, and you open up like challenges and levels and all kinds, like the game just feels like it keeps going on and on. It's so good. I think when we first talked about this, I got the review code like 3 weeks ago or something. Yeah, you lost.
Yeah.
But I played. I had figured out a way to sort of make a balatro light, like a tabletop version. And it's more than just poker. Hey, 52 card poker, yeah, balatro light. But I had figured out ways to like make like using a card deck and using Uno cards as jokers and like playing around with some stuff and using like little markers as chips and things like that. But then I realized that holy shit, like the scoring, I have to keep track of all the scoring, and I ain't that good when it comes to scoring. So you have to figure out a way to do balatro scoring on an actual tabletop version that doesn't get you the E level of scoring. But dude, it's
so good. So like
so
you start out with a few decks, which is red deck, which is you get one extra discard. Blue deck, you get one extra hand. Yellow deck, you start with $10. Green deck, you start interest is different. And those are your four starting ones. And so, like I said, you unlock difficulties by beating ante 8 with that deck. I was going to collection before. These are all of the things that there are to see. I still am missing 19 Joker cards.
Yeah.
Haven't seen them or haven't purchased them. I'm still missing 9 vouchers, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Vouchers are the things that you can buy in the shop. They augment the run in a kind of like in a fundamental level.
Mm-hmm.
Jokers are more kind of like ephemeral of dictating how you build your deck. And so yeah, by default, you look at one of these decks, it's just a regular playing deck for 52 cards and 4 of each, or one of each numbered card on 4 suits. So it's crazy.
Such a meta to this too, because depending on the jokers you get, that you actually have to align your jokers on like which joker deserves to be in the far left of your playing field and the left and right.
Yeah, the order matters.
The order matters, and the timing. It's just insane. It's insane. But balatro. There you go.
That's balatro. It's a crazy game.
Yeah,
I mean, like I played a lot of the Slay the Spire. Back when Slay the Spire is like 150 years old now, so let's Slay the Spire release.
Basically,
yeah, older than Dally somehow. November 2017. Crazy. Monster Train. That was the other one I was thinking.
Monster Train.
Sam, if that offer's on the table, I suggest that you take it up and play that game.
Yeah.
Did you buy a Steam Deck, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs beautiful on the Steam
Deck. I could see that being real fun on Steam Deck.
It's really good.
It's the kind of game that you just kind of want to get in everything. I mentioned that the minute it comes to like mobile platforms, I'm fucked.
Oh yeah, no, I'm ruined.
Bathroom breaks are going to be like 6 hours long. I'll never be in another meeting.
Fired.
It's crazy. It's crazy because like with Balatro, it's like I probably played eight rounds today. Like 8 runs that lasted for sub 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If not sub 6 minutes. Like especially when I was doing the higher difficulties, the rules get like strict enough that it's like I'm out. Sometimes I just jettison the run. Like I get to ante 2 and I don't have 3 jokers. I'm like, okay, well this is a nice try. I'm gonna leave. Thank you. But
it's like a speedrunner when it's like you miss 1 pixel and you're like, well, fuck this.
Yeah, it feels like that. But yeah, it's just like wild shit.
Yeah.
Balatro's crazy game.
It's cool too because it being just a playing card game, it's never gonna like not be entertaining to play. Like even if you beat the game somehow, you can still go back to it because it's luck of the draw, baby. It's just poker, but fucked up. It's great.
Yep. So there you go.
Everybody play this game.
Yeah.
Play it. I'm playing a game right now.
Please.
I'm not playing it right now, but I'm going to talk about a game that I'm playing. I got this review code for a game in early access called News Tower. And News Tower is one of those tower sim type games. You remember those like Tiny Tower and all that kind of stuff that were real popular mobile. And those have their roots on a lot of like late 80s, early 90s PC games where you do this kind of stuff, even down to like Oregon Trail, that kind of thing. So those types of sim games have been around for a long time. Well, News Tower kind of adds a little bit more depth to that aspect. I used to play this game called Detroit. I think I talked about it in the past, which was I think it was a Sierra
Become
Online
human.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
no.
make that joke.
No,
Damn.
definitely not. No, it was a game where you ran a car company, and you develop cars. You take like the front half of one car and the back half of another and jam it together.
Yeah,
and try to
Detroit
sell.
become human, dog.
Yeah, Detroit become human. So these types of games have a fun little place in my heart that I look forward to them, and I like them because they never take themselves like too seriously, right? Even in the Fallout version, I think the Elder Scrolls version is out now or whatever. Those are fun too. In this case, it is much more hands-on in terms of so again, it's early access. It's much more hands-on, and you have to really be on top of things to get things done. Essentially, you're taking over your dad and grandpa's newspaper in like 1930s, and you have to take this kind of falling apart newspaper with like two employees. I'm just gonna keep it in play here with like two employees and turn it into the roaring thing that it was. And so you choose stories that kind of come up. You can kind of select different stories that you think are going to get the most readership and readability. Like different types of stories have different tags, and depending on what story is trending or the type of tag is trending, it's the kind of stories you want to go with. You can actually, you can develop, like, do little layouts of your paper too, so it kind of lets you drop which stories you want to put in there. It's really kind of interesting and in-depth, and you can definitely lose time into a game like this. But it is a 2D sim management type of thing.
At what point does Christian Bale come in, sing a handful of songs, and unionize your paper boys?
Exactly. So I'll let you guys know that my you get presented right away with the ability to name your paper. It's like the first thing is like, okay, what do you want to name your paper? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna call it, like, the first thing that came up was The Latex. So it's called The Latex. I have no idea why, but it's really funny to see like The Latex.
You didn't call it Butt Wiener, damn it.
I should have. But it's funny to see like The Latex pop up all over the place. But yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. You know, you obviously it's a tower, so you're going upward and you're hiring more people and gathering more stories, and things do get a little chaotic at times when you have like a deadline coming up, because it takes you through like the days of the week. So
I was just about to say, I'm watching the trailer and getting PTSD because I was an editor-in-chief of a newspaper, worked at a newspaper, and the idea of like assigning certain people stories and knowing like what headlines and stuff go where before readability and stuff like that, it's just making me break out into hives more than anything, if I'm being honest.
Too, because like the mafia will come in and tear down your, just start beating people up and busting things. Like if you start printing like too many things about like the truth, right? We're gonna talk about the mafia or the mob or whatever. So they're gonna be all upset. They're gonna come in and bust you up, and that's why you're actually taking over the newspaper, is because the mafia came in and destroyed your dad's paper. So it's just kind of interesting.
Is that a cop trying to come in and save the day for you?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Potentially,
cops. It's like 1930s black cop.
It's very, very Attack at the Drugstore. But so yeah, there's the 1930s feel is kind of interesting. So yeah, there you go. That's your first headline is new publisher in town, and mine says The Latex on top. It's called. Very cool. But yeah, it's just kind of simple little fun type of game. Again, the kind that you can there you go. You can print stuff that doesn't have any merit to it, and people will go ahead and come after you. So
sweet. I want to be a yellow journalist. I want to survive completely as a yellow journalist.
You can be totally. You can be as good or in like the limited time that I've played on it. You can actually put things out there that are not great, and it definitely can make you sell out, which is just fantastic. So yeah, There you go. News Tower. It's an early access. My hot take on it. If you're into these types of games, you could be into this type of game. Let's move into. Both of you are playing Mudrunner, but JJ, you also played a boxing game.
I did play a boxing.
And let me present this boxing game because oh boy, everybody wants to hear about this boxing game.
You had to remind me what the game is if that tells you.
That's yeah. Here we go.
I got it on the Switch. This is the PlayStation trailer. Hey, this is thunderray. It is a gory.
Is it just gory punch out?
Yeah, but it's more like I don't know. Okay, I don't know how deep into the weeds people are with Nintendo NES games, but this is more like Power Punch, which was the fake sequel to Punch Out, not made by Nintendo. Yeah, it's Punch Out. It's a little more complicated. They kind of added too much flavor to the controls. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, it's not. It's got a cool aesthetic, and that's sort of where it ends. Like, it's not. I did not have fun playing it. Absolutely love Punch Out, Super Punch Out, Wii Punch Out, and like even like the Punch Out likes. Like, hey, let's play. What was that epic mobile game that was just Punch Out?
Oh yeah. Epic
Infinite Blade or whatever the hell that was.
Infinity Blade, yeah.
I like that sort of rhythmic pattern recognition. It's not really a boxing game. It is Simon to an extent.
But this is
it just doesn't do it for me. And listen, I get to have these opinions. The VO in it is AI, and I
that's all you had to say, my man.
Yeah, it's like once like the main character, I dropped it in the Discord in one of our.
Oh yeah, no, that was obvious.
Yeah, it was so obvious, and it's just like it's like I just don't like hearing it. Like,
this punch is going to hurt the next person.
Yeah, it's that shitty staccato, but they put like a
and also like I feel like they tried to use a British accent to obfuscate it a little bit.
Yeah,
but I feel like anybody that's been listening since the advent of AI voices really kind of hitting the mainstream.
Yeah,
I almost think that the accent ones make it as if not more obvious.
Yeah, it's almost like putting like orange spray paint over. It's just like I like the character designs of the characters that you fight, and the concept is really, really cool. And listen, I think the gory punch out concept has some legs to it.
Yeah,
it is cool to like just have an alien explode from punching it too hard or something.
Sure.
Like, that's cool, man. But like, I just didn't have any fun playing this. That's really all I have to say about it. I just didn't enjoy it. You
basically wanted this, except minus the extra bits to overcomplicate it. You wanted gory punch out, like true to punch out.
Yeah. Like, you maybe add something like an extra, like you can get the star punches and Punch Out. Add like a second stage to that just like absolutely explodes ahead or something. Hell yeah! But no, there's better Punch Out games that have come out in very recent years on Steam, and better ones that are coming out, like the one that I saw at PAX. Back in September, like Big Boy Boxing. Like, I really liked Big Boy Boxing. It has the same level of character and like animation and like character design and stuff that like this has, but it plays like a Punch Out game, and it's much smoother experience all around than this was. And this apparently came out in like September of last year. They just gave us a code, so
they released an updated version
just came out or something.
So they're like, hey, by the way, we got this other, still got the Switch version. Okay, well, you're playing, you guys are playing another game.
Let's go on an expedition
time, baby.
Yeah. Let me ask you, JJ. Did you have any like prior experience with the like mudrunner or snow runner?
Oh yeah, I've been with it since it was spin tires.
Oh, okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
so I played a little bit of spin tires, and I've like dipped my toe into mudrunner and snow runner when they both came out, but they always seemed like a little too much, right?
Yes.
Like overly complicated. Like it kind of. I'm gonna get yelled at for using this phrase, but like the Dark Souls of driving games.
No, that's fair. It's like they just drop you into this massive map and just sort of expect you to figure it out.
Yeah. So right off the bat, Expeditions does an incredible job of like being like, okay, here's 15 minutes of this is how you start your car, this is how you connect things, this is where you got to go, like, this is what you got to do when you get there, this is how you fly your new cool drone thing. Okay, sick. Go start whatever mission you want to. Now I say that it only gives you like 2 to start, I think, to choose from. But basically it gets you in and out of a tutorial very quickly, so you get into missions, which can be good or bad. There's some like functionality, like I certainly think their UI is not great, especially when you're in menu.
It's kind of like they took the typical mudrunner UI and made it even more complicated somehow.
Yeah, they do like a really good job of explaining like upfront how you maneuver your truck and like the sort of like how like to go around the environment, but then it doesn't like teach you really how to prep for your missions. So like there's like a menu where you can equip like spare parts and stuff, like, well, you can upgrade your car first of all, and it doesn't really show you where that menu is. And then like you can add like things onto those spare parts, but that's like another button push that they don't like specifically state. You have to just see it in the menu. So some of that was frustrating, but otherwise, man, what a fun game, like of basically like I think of it of like going downstairs and like playing with your train set, but this has like dedicated things for you to do with your train set. So like, oh, we've got to go and like check out this region because this water is getting like turning red. So you have to go and investigate why this water is turning red and, figure out like through different like scientific research things. And by that, I mean, you basically drive up and do a quick time event. But
let me, I want to ask a question. Dally Taylor, have either of you played spin tires, mudrunner, snow runner, any of that stuff before?
Negative.
Nope.
Okay, so before this game, those 3 games all kind of had the same general mission of if basically you delivering parts to somewhere else on the map, and it's just extremely difficult to get there. You have to use all of your off-roading abilities like winches and tires and cutting through paths and stuff and not getting stuck and make a delivery or pick up a delivery, and that's pretty much it. Expeditions actually like changes that and actually gives you different things to do in different ways.
Well, and I never really explored those other games too much, but it also feels like it gives you a different environments, which the other ones didn't really. It's like this one opens in a like rocky desert. There is like a a sort of foresty, muddy place. But then none of them really are as muddy or as like I think hard. Like I guess hard's not the term, just because it's really up to the player of what's difficult for them or not. But like, it's not as aggressively trying to screw you over around every corner. Like there are certainly areas that are like, hey, you're going to have to travel through here pretty frequently. So you're going to have to figure it out. But like you do travel back through them. So once you've like figured out your route, you just take it every time. So what might take you, 20, 30 minutes to get out to a location like one time, but then the next time you're going like just past that location, now it's only taking you 5 minutes to get out there because you kind of know the route, you've understood the environment, maybe you've learned a thing or two about winching since you last gotten there.
They did the smartest thing this franchise could have possibly done, and was scale it back in terms of the map system, because now it's, instead of just dropping you, this is your base, and now you have to go from A to B, and the whole map is available to you. Do what you want to do. This one is like, it's a mission select. You choose your mission. it drops you off, and you go there, and it doesn't. And when you're done, you're done. You go back to your home base. And they give you tools now, which is really fun.
Well, there's a lot
yeah.
of like, sort of like
Yeah.
if you want to call it beginner or more like,
Yeah.
Training wheels, right? There's
Yeah.
there's a jack screw where if
Yeah.
you flip your car, right there, you can just use
Okay.
it. And and actually that trailer, good point. So if you flip your car, you can just automatically reset it back up. But because of that, you can also then drive straight off of a cliff, tumble down said cliff, and then use that, and you're like essentially fine as long as you got spare parts to repair anything.
Yeah. Now, one of the funniest things about this game actually creates some great comedy, because those jack springs are consumables. So, like, if you use one, and it doesn't come back. So you pack a few of them with you.
Sure.
You can get yourself to a point where you have flipped your truck over and there is absolutely jack shit you can do about it. There's no amount of winching or doing and the game does not care. There is no, you seem to be upside down. Would you like to end the mission? There's none of that. You just sit there until you reluctantly go to the menu and quit out of it.
So like the crux of the game is that you're running like this sort of like not delivery service, but basically this sort of like trucking service for the scientific researchers and like some tourism groups and stuff like that. And so like you have like a budget for these missions. So a lot of the missions, especially like the bigger ones, they sort of prepay you a budget so you can make sure that you're getting some stuff to take into the mission with you. But there are essentially like ways that it will either cost you more money to continue, or you'll just have to quit out and fail the mission, including flipping your truck. You can also reset at your bases, but it costs you financially to reset at these bases after a while. So like, there could be a situation where, you're deciding between like, okay, do I restart this and hope that I can do the mission, or do I just completely fail out and come back? I think as long as you're like sort of playing smartly, I don't think you'll ever get to a sort of end state, a fail state of like the game being like, oh, sorry, you don't have enough money to like buy the stuff you need for this mission. But I mean, I, at least for me, have never felt like financially burdened. I always feel like I have too much money and not enough upgrades to buy, because some of the upgrades for the trucks and stuff you have to find like out on these missions, or you can free roam and go enter these locations. There's a couple of spots that you can like take spare parts to, and then it builds you a bridge, or it might tear down an avalanche.
It's got some Ubisoft like tower shit going on a little bit, like.
But I mean, it's honestly like I've had just like the best time like listening to podcasts and kind of just like driving around and doing the missions. The further you get, the more complicated they get. Like a lot of the early stuff is, you can take one sort of scouting truck, or, you take the cargo truck, depending on what you're doing. But like I just did a mission last night where I had to take like one truck that had like a earthquake detector thing on the back of it, and then one truck that needed to take like the extra like supplies and stuff with it, and you just kind of winched the two of them together, and we went like a little party convoy up. It was it was very fun. Currently, and I say that mentioning that if you start the game on the dashboard of the game, it mentions that co-op is on the way. But co-op is not available at launch, but it hopefully they said it should be shortly after release. Should be up to 4 people in a map together. So same thing I think SnowRunner and stuff like that offers.
I do love the sort of mystical parts of some of the. You can just change your tire. You saw that on the screen.
Oh yeah,
you can change your tire pressure on the fly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Inflate, deflate.
As a car nut like me, that is just so good.
Yeah, and you can like modify your cars, and there's different paint schemes and stuff. There's stickers you can put on them. There's an emotional support vehicle sticker that I have on the side of all mine.
And it's got tools that you can use now too. There's a drone that you can fly around maps to, scan and, get
Yeah,
information of. There's like a sonar that shows you how deep the water is, so you know, like right here, it shows it right there.
Okay.
So you know where not to drive your truck because you can flood the engine by going.
where to ford through.
Yes, I know tire pressure is a thing that you can do in real life, but not like this.
Yeah,
this is
not inflate and deflate in seconds.
Yeah.
Or the time that I accidentally got stuck under a tree, inflating and deflating, so I'll eventually like pancake my way out of it. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Like as you said, like them scaling it back, like making it more like understandable and like more approachable was the correct move with this.
Yeah, no,
and you know, calling it a mudrunner game, you know, whatever Expedition's a mudrunner game, I think is a great idea because you're gonna have people that are playing this game and go, I need more of this, and then they immediately can go find Mudrunner or Snowrunner.
Because this is a fun game for people that have been long time playing Mudrunner stuff, and this is also a perfect intro into what a full-blown Mudrunner game is like. I think this is my favorite of the franchise so far.
Yeah,
I just like what it's doing a whole lot. It's really fun. I do like that you really can just kind of sit down and play it for a short amount of time and not be necessarily super drawn in. It's not as simmy as the previous games have been, so it's nice. I like it a lot.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll be mudrunning. I haven't played any of these games, but
sounds sick.
Yeah. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit because I have been playing Pacific Drive.
Okay.
Because there's a lot similar in this game, Pacific Drive and stuff, and it's like that game still is like from the demo we played last year. A lot's been added to it.
Okay.
It's very closer to the demo I saw at West. There's like the survival tools are kind of more fleshed out here. There's like an impact hammer and a saw that lets you chop down metal and stuff, but the gameplay loop is still just as satisfying every time as it was when we saw the demo of it. You go out there, you collect shit, you're doing research, you're getting more of the story elements as to what's going on out here and why, and the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Because we never really got to see like why or how or like how the gameplay loop really works, like in the garage, going to the map and seeing how this stuff works. So it's nice to finally see that stuff, but I just really, really like the gameplay loop. It always, there's always a new surprise. There's nothing more exhilarating than thinking you're in the clear and then having some sort of crazy UFO thing hit you with a magnetic hook that starts dragging your car in the opposite direction, and you had no idea that thing was like even near you. So it's like
sweet.
This game is
still whips, man.
Still a fantastic game. I'm having a lot of fun playing with it. And you're like, this is the run, and it's very stressful keeping your car like up to date and fixed and in working order. Luckily you have like a bench in the back of your thing where you can craft parts from parts that you find and make new things and store things. And the car runs like shit out the gate, which is really funny because it also it's like Desert Bus, where it's like it's got a bad tire, so it's pulling to the right or whatever. And I thought my controller was broken for a bit because it is a non-stop rumble in the gas pedal trigger. Like your car is just running like shit, and you have to feel it the whole time you're driving, and it's kind of irritating, but I like it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no, still Pacific a good game. Drive. Still love it. Yeah, Pacific Drive, great game.
We saw that game at PAX East for the first time.
Yeah.
Where we're going to be in a couple weeks. You missed it, JJ. We mentioned it earlier. 2 weeks till PAX. My God. Definitely we'll see you guys at our 777. Our wonderful panel there. JJ is doing something kind of fun. We can't talk about it because it'll be a surprise for the rest of the staff too. You will get wet in the first row. No, I'm just kidding. But and then come to our
We got Gallagher.
Gallagher. We got Gallagher coming up. We got Carrot Top, the same guy.
Yeah.
And come to our shindig, our party in the evening at Howl at the Moon. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Come with
Thanks
me to go see Ghostbusters.
I might have to pick up the ticket. There are a lot of events. You can find all the cool events over at sidequesting.com in our PAX East party list. It is popping. We just added like 3 more today, so now they're starting to collect. So make sure you guys check over that and sign up into what you would like. Until PAX, you can find us at sidequesting.com. My voice is shifting. Sidequesting.com. In the Discord, which is where we usually hang out. You can find us there. SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. SideQuesting on all the rest of the socials. That's it, guys. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you guys. Go play Balatro.
Pleasure as always. Yeah, listen, it's time. I got a new deck, baby.
Yeah, man.
I feel so sad that video games don't have load times anymore. That is some valuable Balatro time that
You're telling me.
now.
Yeah.
So actually, it was funny because before I even heard of it from you, Dally, after Helldivers came out and it was impossible to load in, I had a buddy of mine that was like, "Yeah, I've just been sitting here in the queue and just playing Balatro waiting." I was like, "Huh?"
Like a what?
Yeah, that was the first. But now that Helldivers works, no more. I got nothing. So I just play it now instead. Easy. Anyway.
Easy. All right, my friends. Thank you. And have yourselves a wonderful evening. Thank you to all our viewers. We'll see you on the next episode of someone say it. Sam, you say it.
Oh.
The side quest? Is that what we still call this thing?
SideQuest.
Against all odds, yes.
Bye.